ShineHard family and friends? Welcome back to another episode of the ShineHard Conversation. I'm your host, Johnny Bailey, and I'm here in Washington, D.C. with financial advisor extraordinaire, Dominique Broadway. Dominique is a talented speaker, she's an author, and she's the founder and CEO of Finances Demystified. She's been featured in Forbes, Ebony, Black Enterprise, and probably many more for her work in entrepreneurship. I'm pretty turned up today because today she's going to share some secrets about money and become a member of the ShineHard family. So without further ado, Dominique, it's time to shine.
All right.
Don't leave me hanging.
How should I start?
You left me hanging, so I just skip myself.
Oh, we're pounding. I didn't know. You should warn me. Sorry.
So I read somewhere that the foundation can determine the longevity.
Okay.
And in a short time, you've gone a long way.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask you, talk about your childhood and what growing up was like for you.
Okay. So I had a really amazing childhood. Like,
Really?
I always joke and say that if I could go back and be 5, I would do it again. Because I had a really great childhood. I had, my mom, both of my parents were entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And even my stepfather was an entrepreneur. And, I was the only child for about 17 years, so I was spoiled. I was a grandchild for a long time, so I had a really great childhood.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, hustle's in your bloodline.
It is.
So you got to get to it.
It is. It truly is. And like my dad was an entrepreneur as well as my mom, and then like a lot of my dad's family members were entrepreneurs.
Wow.
And owning stores and apparently owning stuff in Broadway in New York. I guess that's where we got our last name from. That's what it says. Yeah, I think it's fine. But yeah, a lot of them were entrepreneurs. So I think the entrepreneur thing is definitely good.
Yeah. Speaking of doing very well, let's talk about money.
Okay.
So some people may watch this video and they might say, I don't need someone to plan my money. I don't need someone to help me save.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? What do you say to people who don't think financial advising is important?
Well, to people like that, I think a lot of times, like, no disrespect to them, but they're small-minded people, right? So I started my career actually working with people that had 20, 30, 40 million dollars in investable assets. So I feel like, if you feel like, you don't need someone to help you manage your $10,000, you're probably not going to ever get to that $20 million mark unless you invent the next Tesla, right? Right. And that's random. Right. So I think that, not saying that you even need somebody to tell you what to do with every single dollar, but I think a lot of times people are not aware of things that they could be doing to build wealth. So sometimes it's like, okay, yes, I make the money, I save the money, and that's all people are doing, and not looking into various just basic investments or alternative investments or real wealth building strategies. So they're missing out. That's the way I look at it. They're definitely missing out.
So what is the common misconception about money that people, the everyday Joe, doesn't know?
I would say the most common misconception is that maybe that more money will solve all their problems. And I realized, and I was reading this in a book, I can't remember, the book is called No Excuses. I can't remember the author right now. But basically it was talking about how when they did like research studies, these like fancy studies that, after all of your basic necessities are paid for, more money did not equal happiness for most people. And I was like, wow, that's pretty deep. Because I think most people who are, let's say, struggling or financially stressed, they're stressed because they can't pay their basic bills. They're not stressed because they can't go to Disney World, right? They're stressed because they're having a hard time making those regular payments. And then also I think that, just seeing people, I was talking to a client the other day, and I remember when I first started working with her, she was making like 55. And she got this new job and she was making 70. And we're on the phone and she's like, now I need a job to make 90 and I'll be good. Because the 70 wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And
you make more money, you spend more money.
Yeah, and I'm like, you're just increasing your lifestyle with every single raise. I said, so you're never going to be happy. You're never going to have enough money. I have clients that make $300,000 a year and they're paycheck to paycheck when I met them. So I think that, if you can't manage what you have now, more money is never going to get you where you want to be, and God's never going to bless you with more money if you can't even manage what you have. That's the biggest thing, this kind of misconception that I see all the time. People are just like, oh, if I just had more money.
Right. So it sounds like you have to live below your means.
You do.
Type of thing.
Yeah, that's honestly the secret to becoming wealthy, and no one wants to hear that. But if you feel like you don't have enough money, go make more. Like, that's never. Sometimes it's not just cutting back; it's actually make more money.
Right.
Yeah,
Hustle.
Yeah.
So I guess taking it back a little bit, talk about your foundation in school and how you got started in the financial industry.
Okay, so I went to Bowie State University undergrad, HBCU, and I got my master's at Maryland, University of Maryland University College in financial management. That was kind of a waste of time. But yeah, because I think as an entrepreneur, no one really cares that you have a master's. No one asks.
I have a master's too, nobody cares.
No one ever asks me.
I don't even care.
I forget. And I'm like, oh yeah, I have a master's
I was like
too.
Hampton you all day.
Yeah, so it was just that thing that everybody was doing. So I did it, and it was just kind of like, everyone has a master's, you get a master's.
For me, it was kind of like the filler. Like, I didn't really have that next move, so I thought going to school would kind of buy me some time and give me something that...
And I did it part-time. I did it online. So I didn't even, like, take out years of my life to do it. But anyway, I did get my undergraduate degree at Bowie State University, and I majored in banking and finance. And during that time, when I was in high school, I realized I really wanted to be a financial planner. Which is really corny, but I really wanted to be a stockbroker.
You're like saving lunch money, like 3/4 here and $5
No.
there.
I was an entrepreneur. I wasn't saving quarters. I was making money. Like seriously, I helped.
What were you doing?
So when I was like 8, I had like businesses where I would like sell bracelets and things like that. As I got older, around 13 or 14, I became vice president of one of my friends' companies.
Nice.
And we actually taught kids how to use computers and computer software. We did that for a few years. He went to college, and eventually I had to go to college. So we were making decent money there. And then also they started teaching computers in school, and it kind of messed up our whole business model.
They undercut your whole
it's totally
the education system.
Yeah, darn them. So yeah, we were teaching like Microsoft and just typing, all these basic skills that students needed to learn, but they weren't teaching in school yet. So yes, I wasn't shuffling around quarters. I had like 20s now. But yeah, so that's basically how that started then. But even at that age, I realized I really wanted to learn how to invest, because I was like, okay, I hate having to ask people for money, or my parents or whoever it may be. Like, how can I start making money without actually having to go to work? And so I was just really fortunate to even think that way. And so I started reading like investing books, like Money Magazine, things like that. And then I would sit down with my grandfather and look at his like thrift savings plan, which is like the federal government retirement plan. And he would show me and be like, oh look, I made $2,000 today. And I'm like, see, this is what life's about. Like, you're not supposed to have to go to work, make money other ways. So that's kind of how the interest originally.
It's pretty cool that you're able to see that though.
It is. It's honestly very rare. Even now, I'm still surprised that I thought that way. But I think that it was just kind of all a part of like God's ultimate plan for me. I really feel that way. So
absolutely.
Yeah. But even at Bowie, like I said, I majored in banking and finance, and I was at Bowie State University, so we didn't have a lot of like brokerage firms come into the campus to recruit at all. It was just like really small companies coming to recruit. So I, being proactive, I found a summer internship program in New York. And it was not a super cheap program, so I kind of had to like go and kind of figure out a way to get in, and also figure out how I can make the most of it. So I went like to my family and said, listen, there's this program and everyone can just help me. Like, I'm sure it's gonna really help me get where I need to be. And I got accepted into the program.
What program was it?
It was called University of Dreams at the time. And now it's called like summer programs or something, summer dream programs or something of that nature. Summer internship programs, I believe. And it gave me the ability to actually go to New York for the summer, stay at NYU, and intern at UBS Financial Services. And it was really funny because I had originally supposed to intern at Morgan Stanley, but this is the summer that they cut their internship program. So like literally a couple days before I was supposed to come, they're like, you can't come to Morgan Stanley the whole, so UBS kind of just took me in, and it was, it was crazy how life works.
Yeah, it worked out for you. One door closed, the other door open.
Yeah, I mean, way more than I ever imagined, but it was just really funny working there, being one of the only minorities there. And all the other students that I was in the internship program with were like from Harvard, Yale, Princeton, and they were just like, where do you go? And I'm like, Bowie State. They're like, Boise State? And I'm like, no, Bowie State. They're like, what is this school? It was crazy. And it was a blessing, because even for that internship, you had to have like a GPA of 3.5. And honestly, my GPA, even when I graduated, was like 2.2. It was horrible.
Wow. How so?
Because I thought school was boring. And I just felt like...
Too structured.
it was boring. I feel like they were teaching me a bunch of stuff I didn't know. And I was just finishing because I had to finish, and I started working while I was in school. My parents didn't really know I was working, but I was working because I was just like, this school thing. Yeah, but I bought my first house at 22. Wow. So I moved from my dorm to a condo. Everybody else went from their dorm home. Yeah. So the working paid off. Yeah, so that's kind of how, that all started.
That's a great story. So talk about your company, Finances Demystified. What type of services do you offer, and what's the scope of what you guys do there?
Yeah, so Finances Demystified, I started about 3 years ago, almost 3.5 years ago, after working at all these big firms and, becoming a stockbroker and working with high net worth individuals. My friends kept coming to me asking me for help, and I realized that they couldn't come into these companies because they didn't have $1 million or $500,000 for financial advisors to sit with them. Right. So I started Finances Demystified to really provoke the conversation of money and to provide, kind of like low cost, but I guess low cost financial planning services to millennials, entrepreneurs, and creatives. Because I felt like these are the people that needed the help the most, but no one would talk to them. Financial advisors wouldn't pay them any mind. So now we do a lot of like online programs, I have some digital products. I do tons of public speaking for nonprofits, corporations.
I see your Instagram, it's like public speaking.
Yeah, it's like always
this girl is working.
Yeah, I'm working. I do work hard. And then also like one-on-one as well. So I work with a lot of clients one-on-one, helping them with their finances. So I absolutely love it, I have to say.
So how was your experience working with those multi-million-dollar accounts translated down to working with someone who's making $50,000?
Yeah, I think that's what makes what I do really effective and unique. I think a lot of times I can think bigger for my client than what they would think for themselves. And it's like, okay, yes, you make $50K, but this $50K can turn into a lot more if you do the right things now. So I think that experience, without that experience and that credibility, I wouldn't be able to do what I do now.
I see.
Yeah.
So I would say, from my experience, is that money is a people business. Would you agree?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So what is your approach to getting new clients, and what type of people do you look for?
Yeah. So, like I said, my target is millennials, entrepreneurs, and creatives. And so, right now I think social media is huge, and it is a very easy way to get clients. I mean, I even think about, my mom and her business, and she would like advertise on like the radio, like Penny Saver and things like that. And for me, it's something as simple as, posting a snapshot of me on Instagram, or marketing this, or, getting people into my email sales funnel, giving them the education that they need, and then they deciding that they want to sign up for a product, or they want me to come speak at their event, or they want to work with me one-on-one. So I think for me, social media is a huge tool, and the email system. Outside of that, a lot of my clients come to me, one-on-one clients, through Google. They're searching for top financial advisor for millennials. I've won that award as one of the top financial advisors in the United States for millennials. Thank you. And so that's, a lot of people just come through Google. So it's just so interesting to see how businesses change. Yeah. You know what I mean? Versus like just how my parents had to market versus how I market.
Right. So yeah, I guess the marketing landscape has changed to an online virtual space, and anyone can find you.
Yeah, so that's what's cool. And every time I'm like talking to a potential client, I'm like, do I need to introduce myself? Or I'm sure you probably already Googled me and know everything about me, my social.
That is a weird thing. Like sometimes you have followers and they kind of know you, but you don't know them, so it's hard to know what people feel about you or how much they know about you.
Yeah, and it can be weird sometimes. You'll be on the phone with someone and they're like, oh, I saw that you were at so-and-so recently, and I'm like, how do you know where I was? But you kind of forget that people are following you on social media. So
because they don't like and comment, y'all ghost followers. I'm gonna get
don't get them.
Give me one like, that's all I ask. So who are you learning from these days? Like, do you have any mentors? Do you have any books that you're really in, or websites or blogs?
Yeah, I really like blogs. This is random, but I really like the Exo Nicole website.
And I was just on the phone with them yesterday.
Really? Yeah. I had a call with one of the people that works for me recently. I really, really like that site for some reason. I think it's really empowering, but they have really good business information. But as far as books, I love reading. I'm reading Launch by Jeff Walker. I'm reading No Excuses. I can't remember the name of the author, but if you just Google No Excuses, like
there'll be a link in the interview for that one.
I'm a huge procrastinator, and so this is making me just like do stuff. But it's so weird. I've accomplished a lot, but I am really good at procrastinating.
Yeah, me too.
So it's interesting. But yeah, those are two books that I'm reading right now, and I really look up to Melanie Hobson actually.
Oh.
So she she's married George Lucas.
Yeah, I know Melanie Hobson. I actually heard her speak at the Harvard Business Conference a couple years ago. She's riveting. She's a great speaker.
So she's someone I look up to. A lot of people don't know her, but or have heard of her. But yeah, I love her.
Yeah, she's dope. She's very dope. Can you talk about some of your challenges personally with finances? Have you ever had any times when you were struggling financially, and what did you learn? Like, what was that experience like?
Yeah. So when I was, I think maybe a year into my business, I went broke, like completely broke. All the money I had saved up was gone, and my house was in foreclosure. And it was really weird because I was literally helping everybody. Like, everyone is having financial success but me. And it was because when I started my business, I literally just kind of woke up and was like, hey, I'm going to start this business. Like, literally. Like, oh, I'm going to go get a booth in an event and see what happens.
Okay.
I'm a starter. And so, but the thing with the issue with that is I was doing really well. I had lots of clients, but I wasn't charging enough because I didn't have a real strategy in place. And because I wasn't charging enough, I was making them money but not making enough money. So I was like using my savings, and once my savings was gone after that year, I was broke, and I was still making money, but like I said, it wasn't enough.
Right.
So I went through this whole struggle financially it made me feel like a huge hypocrite, like I shouldn't even be helping people because I can't help myself. And it took for me to finally snap out of it and say, I need to ask somebody for help. So I finally went to my mom, my dad, and my grandpa, like, oh my gosh, this is what I've done. And the interesting thing is my mom used to help people who were behind on their mortgage. That's where her company was. But I was so embarrassed and ashamed, I wouldn't even ask her.
Yeah.
Which is
it's
stupid.
a tough thing when you're a self-starter to ask for help.
It is. And I've always been, and a lot of entrepreneurs are like this, we don't want to ask for help because we feel like we can do things on our own. So that was like, not rock bottom, but it was very, it was a huge life lesson for me. So long story short, it actually ended up working out because I was able to, one, have a better story. Two, I was able to help people that I would have never been able to help before. People whose credit scores went down because my credit score went down. Got behind on credit cards, got behind on car payments, getting behind on your mortgage. I understood that and I got out of it. I didn't lose anything.
Right.
I didn't lose anything. So all I did was gain a bunch of knowledge, and now I can help people in a different way that I can help them.
Because you've actually been there, you experienced
I've been there. I know.
Empathy is high for that.
Yeah, and I know how to talk to creditors when you haven't paid your, like I know, like I figured that out. And so
you know how to not answer the phone.
I know.
I know how to do that very well too.
No, but I even know how to answer the phone and talk to them and work something out. And so, like I said before, it's like, okay, I can help you with managing your wealth, but now I can also help you with getting, trying to get your credit score up, working out, negotiating with your creditors. And to me, it was a priceless experience that I hated while I went through it, but now that I'm through it, I'm like, yo, this was the biggest learning experience and best learning experience I've ever had. So, that was that. But
so I'm a strong advocate for working in your purpose.
Okay.
And I believe purpose is found in passion.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I speak to talented and successful people, I'm very fascinated to know what fuels them. So I want to ask you, what is your passion and when did you know?
I don't know. Maybe I still don't know. Like, I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I think I'm very passionate about helping people. I have to say that. And I think my bigger passion is really to create generational wealth. I think it's extremely frustrating to see people accumulate wealth and then die, or accumulate wealth, spend it all, then die, and then nothing is left for the next generation. Yeah. I think like African Americans, we just have like a huge disadvantage when it comes to having that leg up, where versus seeing other families who, the loved one may pass away and there's $1 million being left.
Right.
And
Donald Trump got a small loan of $1 million.
Yes, a very small loan of $1 million. Like if we all were able to get that small loan of $1 million, we could all be successful. Yeah. And he's filed bankruptcy like what, 4 times? 1 billion times. Yeah. So, but I just wish that, especially just more people of color had that advantage. I'm not saying everyone needs, $1 million, but it would be great for people to even just have a little bit more financial blanket when they started their lives.
For sure.
So I'm just really passionate about helping people, but I think on a personal level, I'm really passionate about lifestyle design and designing my lifestyle to be the way I want it to be, and to live my good years. I mean, I'm still in my good years, and enjoying what I've created now, versus having to wait until like 65 to retire and then travel, and then like my knees ain't working or whatever. You know how it is. And I'm just like, I don't want to be that way. So I think those are probably the two things I'm really passionate about, just helping people and also just creating, just designing my lifestyle the way I want it to be.
Nice. So what has been, you talked about the golden years. What has been one of the biggest lessons for you in your 20s? Going into, I mean, I'm not sure how old you are, but what have you learned that still sticks with you today?
Well, I'm 31 now, so
you're a millennial.
I'm still, totally millennial. I would say, I mean, the biggest thing that I think it's a quote that I kind of go by, so I'm using it as my quote. So if I ever die, this is my quote. Okay.
On her tombstone.
Literally, he's going to tombstone. But my quote was kind of, "Don't fear failure, fear regret." And that's literally how I live my entire life. Like, I'm not scared of failing. I'm scared of waking up, in those golden years, wishing I had done these things that I wanted to do, but I was so scared of failing to do.
Absolutely.
And so I really think that that's why I don't feel like I've accomplished as much as other people say. But I think that's why I've probably accomplished a lot more than the average 31-year-old, is because I just go and do. I don't care about failing or just effing up and like falling on my face. I'm not scared of that. I'm scared, those people you meet, they're 80. We meet them all the time. Like, oh, I wish I had done that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be that person.
Yeah, that gives me anxiety.
That's
not going for it. Yeah. That gives me so much anxiety.
And that's exactly like that stuff. I will stay up at night worrying about that before I worry about failing. Because the thing with failure, you can wake up and you can try again, but to wake up and be like, oh, I wish I had done all of this stuff and now I can't, that's scary.
Time is precious.
It is.
Once it's gone, it ain't coming back.
It's that one thing we'll never be able to beat. You can never beat time, so don't stop trying.
Right, but everything that you're going to do is happening right now, so you got to start. I agree with you completely.
I would say being a young black woman of color has actually
in the financial industry.
Oh, yeah.
Is it challenging?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
What happened?
I would say when I first started out, people, like, at the firms I worked at, I was really fortunate to work at huge, just top financial
What firms were you working at when you
I worked at UBS Financial Services, which is one of the largest wealth management firm in the world.
Nice.
Based in Switzerland.
Right.
And then,
along with like Credit Suisse, they heard of that?
Yeah, so they're different companies.
Oh, okay.
They're one bank, But I also worked at no, you're good. I also worked at Edelman Financial Services, which is owned by Rick Edelman, who's like one of the top financial planners like in the world. So I was able to actually train under him, which is priceless.
Huge. Yeah.
And the last firm I worked at was United Capital, which is another huge financial planning firm. So, but I think it was always difficult because I was obviously a stockbroker licensed to do this, and the only other person that usually looked like me was the receptionist, right? So even working at these firms, especially at Edelman Financial Services, looking around and being a junior planner because I was younger, trying to advance, I didn't see any opportunities for advancement. Like, the only other person that looked like me was a phone financial planner. And then also I've had times where I've done speaking engagements, and I never figured out, I spoke at an entrepreneurial conference here in DC, and I was teaching, it was like managing your money as an entrepreneur. So it's at this huge like convention thing in Virginia, and maybe 100 people came into my session, right? So I'm like, audio is nervous. Yeah. So I sat in the back of the room just because I like to hear what people have to say before I start talking. Just because sometimes they're in the room, they're like, hey, I want to learn about this. What are you here for? I want to hear about that. So I like to just listen.
A little
to
networking,
people.
a little
and also hear
secret shopping.
What they're hoping to learn from the session.
Right.
So once the session is about to start, I'm in like 1 minute before it's supposed to, 1 minute after it's supposed to start, I get up and walk to the front of the room. Now, mind you, this was like 3 years ago, and I look pretty young now. I looked even younger then, and I'm just like, there's like...
You had your long hair too?
Yeah, it's like, who is this? I like ponytails, like, So...
pigtails?
No, just one ponytail. No, but it was interesting because it was like 4 like white men that walked out. Like, literally. which was crazy. And I knew it was why. I knew why. Like, the topic hadn't changed, right? The session hadn't changed. The only thing that was different than what they were expecting was the speaker, which was me.
Crazy.
And so, and I knew why they walked. I mean, literally, as soon as I got to the stage, it was like, hi, I'm Dominique Broadway. You know, I'm going to be doing this session today. Literally walked out.
Wow.
So, and it was just,
How did you feel when you saw that?
I didn't really care. I didn't
you?
care because I knew that I had information that they wanted,
Right.
that those people were going to miss out on. And the people that stayed loved it.
Right.
I had rave reviews from the conference coordinators, and they asked me to come back. So, you know, just those types of things where a lot of people, maybe it would even take them over the edge. I was just like, y'all are the stupid ones.
Yeah, that's a shame.
But I mean, I've had to go through stuff like that. You know, even going into corporations and speaking, it happens. You know, it's like they just feel like you don't know anything because of what you look like. You know, so that has been a challenge.
Yeah. So they say to be successful, you either have to be the first to do it, the best to do it, or the person who does it differently. Out of those three, how do you aim to be successful?
I would say the person that does it differently and the best and most unique. Yeah. So all those three combined. That's what I think it takes. And I think also just the person that does it. Most people don't do it.
Respect.
So.
Respect. So what are the three attributes to your success? What's the DNA of Dominique Broadway?
I would say, as like all entrepreneurs, I'm a little bit crazy, right? Because
Yeah.
you have to be crazy to be an entrepreneur.
Fearless.
To get up.
Yeah.
To get up and actually do this every day. So I would say, yeah, I'm definitely extremely fearless. I understand that success takes time, and I think a lot of people aren't patient. I think that me being patient has really helped. But I'm extremely, like, I'm a hard worker. I'm a smart worker. I work hard, but I also, I don't know, I keep going. I don't know the word I'm looking for, like perseverance.
Resilient.
Yeah, is important. And I think a lot of people don't have it. Like, you know, a couple things don't work and they give up.
Right.
Versus me, a couple things don't work. Why did this not work? What can I do differently? And I'm a problem solver. And I think that, you know, to be an entrepreneur, you have to consistently be a problem solver.
Absolutely.
Most entrepreneurs can walk into a room and say, that's wrong. I could probably figure out a way to fix it and make some money.
Yeah.
That's how I've always thought.
Yeah.
So I think those are there's more than three.
Yeah,
those
like
are
20.
Those, I mean, you take the pay.
You got the whole anatomy.
Entrepreneurs are complicated. We're not regular, like, oh, you know, I wake up.
I like to read.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do like to read, but you know what I'm saying. It's a lot of factors.
No,
We're very multifaceted.
That's good. That's good
Yeah.
stuff. All that's very, very important. There's so much going on in our millennial generation. You focus on millennials.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of crime, there's shootings, there's vanity on social media.
Yeah.
What frustrates you the most about today's culture?
I think the thing that frustrates me most is that today's culture is actually, to me, the reason why a lot of people are so broke. So it's like, you know, people are keeping up with the Joneses and they're keeping up with the Kardashians. I think that reality TV is just like screwing people over financially. People are just literally buying everything that celebrities tell them to buy.
Right.
Then they go and watch a show on TV and literally try to replicate that entire lifestyle, but they make $50,000 a year.
Right.
And so it's like, yes, you are broke because you tried to go to, you know, Fiji because you saw that Kim Kardashian did, but you don't have the money. And what you also don't know is her trip was probably paid for by Fiji or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so I think that it's really messing.
Sponsored by Fiji Airlines.
Literally. And if you ever look at the fine print, they'll be like, oh, this trip was sponsored by Kenya.
Isn't it interesting how rich people don't have to pay for anything?
You don't pay for, I mean, even, and I'm not rich or anything, but just because I have a small following, there's even stuff, people send me stuff all the time. I'm like, I used to pay a lot of money for this stuff. But that's what people don't realize. The richer you get, the less you pay for it. Like, Christian Louboutin shoes, Kim Kardashian does not pay for that stuff.
Yeah, they want her to wear those.
They
put it on
literally
Instagram.
send them, and she Snapchats like, oh my gosh,
Thank you so
Javinci just sent me 10 pair of shoes, and you're out here buying them.
Right.
So I think that it's really
It's working.
Oh, it's totally working. Totally working. Yes.
So is it safe to say that everyone in the world has a dream or a vision?
Yeah, I think everyone does have a dream or a vision. Unfortunately, they say, it's a quote, and it's like, the cemetery is filled with dreams.
Yeah.
It's actually like filled with dreams or something like
that.
Yeah,
Les Brown said that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's true because I've never met a person that didn't have a dream or a vision, but most people don't execute it.
So what's the difference between a person who's brought their dreams to reality and a person who hasn't?
The person who hasn't is scared to do it. that's pretty much different. Like,
Fear.
yeah, they're scared. They're so scared. I mean, I've never met a person that didn't have a dream or a goal they wanted to accomplish. But a lot of times people get so stuck in their ways, they're so scared to do it. I think a lot of people leave Earth not fulfilling their purpose.
Yeah, it's
I
sad.
really do. Yeah, it's sad.
It's not regret. That's something that I feel like, honestly, if I died tomorrow, I would feel happy because I'm completely doing everything that I possibly can do to live in my purpose.
I feel the exact same way.
That's a sense of peace.
And I think other people could say the same thing. And I think that's another piece too. Is like, if you die tomorrow, what would people say about you?
Yeah, legacy.
It's important.
Very
Yeah,
important.
and I think that even at 31, I think I've built somewhat of a decent legacy. If something
I
happened
think
to
you're
me
doing.
tomorrow.
Hey, if I had to go by your Instagram, I would
Okay.
say you've done it, girl. That girl was on it.
Instagram just
Yeah.
shows the highlights of my life, not the real
Well,
deal.
Snapchat shows behind the scenes, so I'll be
Yeah.
watching that too. All right.
That's true. That's true.
So to kind of wrap up, what advice would you give to young people, aspiring financial planners or financial professionals that want to shine in that industry? What steps do they need to take, and what's the mindset?
I would say steps you need to take. I mean, definitely. I mean, honestly, school can really hinder you financially, but I think that you have to go to school to be a financial planner or just even get in the finance space. So really going to school, understanding the stock market, but also taking time to get the necessary licenses. Especially as a minority, having those licenses are priceless. But I would say mindset-wise, don't just do it for the money, okay? Because you can make a lot of money as a financial planner, but do it because you care about people.
How do financial advisors get paid?
Well, there's a lot of different ways they get paid. Some, are straight commission based. So like you buy products or services from them and they get a commission from the company. Or they're fee based, which is more like me, where you just charge a fee and I don't get commission from anyone, but you know that I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm only going to help. So those are pretty much the two main ways that people, financial planners get paid. But I think that also just making sure that you really want to help people and not, I meet financial planners all the time who are just selling people stuff.
Right.
Like I've met so many clients like they bought this life insurance policy and I'm like, why are you paying $300 a month to a life insurance policy and you have $2 saved up? Like this money is long-term money. It's not going to help you when your tire blows out in 3 weeks.
Right.
And so I think that if financial planners could just be less focused on selling products and helping more people, financial planners also wouldn't have such a bad rap. So I think that's what it takes.
Well, hey, this was a very, very insightful conversation.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time.
Thanks for
I
having
appreciate your
me.
gems, your money and success quotes and thoughts. We're really looking forward to having you a part of the ShineHard family and getting you on our panels, our guest speaking, our workshops. We needed a financial advisor to teach literacy like a couple of weeks ago. I wish I would have had you then, but we got you now.
Awesome.
Let everybody know how they can find you. Tell them about your book, your website, and
So I have a new book that just came out called The Dreams to Reality Financial Organizer and Goal Setting Guide. You can get it on my website at DominiqueBroadway.com or just go to Amazon.com and search for Dominique Broadway. Also, like I said, website is DominiqueBroadway.com, Twitter at Miss Finance Coach, and Instagram, where my favorite place to be, is at Dominique Broadway. Oh, and Snapchat it's Domo Broadway, because my name's too long. But yeah, that's how you find me.
Cool. So you can find us at ShineHard Family on Instagram, www.shinehardfamily.com. You can find me personally at JB's Food for Thought. You guys stay blessed, continue to follow your passion, and remember, together we shine. Until next time, guys. Salute. Thanks.
I'm growing older, getting closer to my prime, and my prime then it's over.